Welcome, dear listeners, to Broadcasts from Elsewhere. We discuss the movies and media that you may not see elsewhere. I'm your host, Enigma. Today is the first day of something I would like to call No Way November. I picked out 30 movies, one for each day of the month, and placed them in a wheel spinner. Every day I'll be spinning this wheel and watching and reviewing whatever movie we land on. All the movies on these lists are ones that could be considered bad or so bad they're good. Today's movie is unfortunately one of the bad ones. I'm just glad we got this one out of the way so soon, to be honest. Today we are, unfortunately, checking out Hodge Saves Easter. The last season, I know. Nonetheless, Hodge Saves Easter is an animated movie from 2020. Although animated may be a very generous term, if you ask me. The characters in this movie are so stiff and lifeless, it's almost impressive. There's no walking animations whatsoever, not even arm movements as far as I can remember. They just stand there, the characters, they just stand there, with their lips flapping. Not to mention, there's basically no lip sync whatsoever. I don't even understand if this movie wasn't made in English right away. And maybe it's a dubbing issue, but I couldn't find really much info about this movie, to be honest with you. So that's just a theory. But this movie was made by Wow Now Entertainment. And if you have experience with mockbusters, or bad movies in general, you may recognize them. They're very notorious for making awful animated films. But I feel I should mention that in this case, Hodge Saves Easter is an actual original product from them. There are no existing IPs that they are ripping off. It is a completely original story. That unfortunately does not do much good for it, though. Okay, that's enough background for the movie, I believe. Let's get into the plot, if we really must. It's kind of a mess. Spoilers from this point on, of course. We'll be going in depth. However, I kind of doubt you'll care about me spoiling this movie. There's not much that you'll want to see from it, I imagine. So, we begin the movie. We start in a spaceship, of all things. Yes, a spaceship. Because for some reason, 90% of this movie is in space. Not what I expected either, don't worry. Anyways, we start with Hodge the bunny and his friend Turk the turkey. Very imaginative name. They are cruising along their spaceship, and then they receive a call from two aliens who challenge them to a warp speed race. And if they win, the aliens are going to buy them something called Space Jacks, which is apparently a restaurant. I'm assuming it's a parody of Hungry Jack's, which is the Australian version of a Burger King, but I don't know if that's right or not, but you know, my assumption. And, oh yeah, and I want to mention this as well because to me it sounds disgusting. But Hodge is very insistent that he's going to get a steak shake, a double bacon steak shake to be specific, from the Space Jacks, which sounds like the least appetizing thing you could get, in my opinion. And I eat just about anything, honestly. Anyways, we cut away from that race before it even starts, because why would we want to watch something interesting when we could watch more still lifeless figures flap their lips at us? So now we get to see the Easter Bunny himself, whose name is Bert, apparently. Very creative name. And he's with his friend Cutie, which I hate to say that name. It feels weird on my mouth, honestly. But Cutie is a little chick, a baby chicken, and she's traveling with Bert in their spaceship, because we have yet another spaceship in this. Anyways, they're discussing the upcoming Easter celebrations. Cutie is quick to mention that, With all the different time zones and planets, the Easter may not be celebrated, everywhere at the same time. It's at this point when Bert brings up that apparently Easter is celebrated universally throughout the cosmos. That's a quote, by the way. Which honestly raises a few questions, especially later on. But I digress. Bert receives a call from this other alien who's like a puffball, looks like a freaking, looks like a loofah, honestly. Like he washed your back with in the shower, he looks like a freaking loofah. I don't know. That's fine. Design was definitely not the forefront of their mind when they were making any of these things. Nonetheless, he warns them that there is a mysterious vessel in their vicinity. And before he got all worried, he wanted to make sure it wasn't somebody that they knew. They, of course, do not know who it is and whatnot. And we cut away, again, to an alien. A green alien this time, not one of the nice ones we've met so far. This is a green alien in a mech suit kind of deal, and his name is TNT. Like dynamite. He has two little henchmen. They are like space bunnies, I guess? They look like green rabbits, but then they have like 8 pairs of ears. Or not 8 pairs, 4 pairs of ears, 8 ears altogether. And already we start off with a freaking fart joke from one of them, who apparently has gastritis and blah blah blah. And it's like, really, guys? We're like maybe 5 minutes into the movie, and we're already at this. Also, I feel I should mention that TNT has a Scottish accent, which kind of threw me off because none of the other characters really have accents in this movie, unless you count. Hodge has like this stoner bro voice, but he's really like the dumbest thing in the universe, it seems. Moving on. TNT and his minions, main TNT, talks about his plans to take over planet Scramble, which is apparently the homeworld of the Easter Bunny and his brother, Hodge being his brother. And after that brief introduction, we go back to Hodge and Turk, who won the race off-screen, because why would we want to see something interesting again? Anyways, the aliens who challenged them apparently don't have enough dough to cough up to actually take them to the space jacks like they told them earlier. Which, why would you make the bet at that point? One of the aliens, who goes by Commander Ham Sanders is his name, which is, at least it's a little creative, I guess. I don't know. It's strange. Anyways, he suggests that they just blow up Hodge and Turk so that they can escape the debt. And honestly, I was like, please, just go ahead. Just do it. Spare us, sir. But unfortunately, his private, the other alien with him, tells him that they can't do that because they're part of the Space Guardians. The same people who called the Easter Bunny earlier about the mysterious vessel. Or they're part of the same group, not the same people, which I mean. They instead decide to give them a golden Easter egg. And of course they take it, they figure, oh, it must be valuable. And they hang up. We then get to see a quick little aside with Hodge and Turk trying to figure out, like, oh, what are we going to do with this egg? We can't eat it, It must be valuable. And they have a brief cutaway gag, like it's freaking Family Guy for some reason, where it's them trying to trade some Easter eggs for a castle that Dracula and the Frankenstein monster own, apparently. Apparently this is something that happened in the past, because when they cut back, they're like, yeah, but we tried that before, but that was because it was old Easter eggs. This is a golden egg. And it's sad they can't do that either. So I don't know why we even saw that. There was no point to that at all. Especially, I feel like this is the reason why the description on a lot of the websites and things that you'll find this movie on, because this is not the same plot that's described in the movie. In the movie, it says that Dracula and Frankenstein's monster steal the egg and they have to get it back. That's not what happens. Dracula and Frankenstein's monster show up for fucking 2 seconds, maybe, during that cutaway gag. And that's it. That's the only time they're in the movie. And that was a case from the past. So that isn't even in the current timeline of events for what's happening in this movie. But I digress. Anyways, we then cut back to, after the cutaway gag, we go back to Hodge and Turk, and they decide he's going to call his big brother, or his younger brother, I should say, he's the big brother, his younger brother, Bert, the Easter Bunny. But before we can see that call, we cut back quickly to the commander and the private aliens. And they talk about, like, oh, the egg is so dangerous, and it could throw the world into darkness if it goes in the wrong hands. And it's like, if it's so dangerous, why did you just get rid of it? In fact, the commander even says that he's been trying to get rid of the egg so many times. Because, I don't know, he just doesn't want it for some reason. But it always lands back in his hands, somehow. Anyways, they also have a quick little lore drop about this egg, and they mention that apparently it somehow is responsible for the Big Bang, meaning that the reason we all exist is because of a goddamn golden Easter egg. Which, they don't explain how that works, they don't explain how they know that it was responsible, they just say, yeah, the frickin' Big Bang that created all life on Earth, it's all because of this golden egg. Yeah. That's something. After that bombshell, the private says he's hungry, and he's like, let's go to Space Jacks anyways. But aren't you guys broke? You just gave them this powerful golden egg because of the fact that you were broke, or you didn't want to spend money on them or something. So you clearly had the money. So you could have actually bought them the food, it sounds like. Unless they're just being selfish and they didn't have enough for them and they had enough for themselves. So, rather than, just not be a little selfish, instead let's, give away the most powerful item in the universe, apparently, to a fucking dumbass rabbit who doesn't even know what thinking is. I'm not kidding. There's a little quick gag where one of the characters is saying, oh, I'm thinking about something, and he's like, oh, is that fun? Is it fun to think? It's like, we get it, movie. He's an idiot. We get it. Anyways, plot holes aside, we get back now to the evil aliens, TNT and his crew. A lot of cuts in this movie. TNT states that he's searching for artifacts known as the Magic 7, which are 10 objects that grant cosmic power. Yes. The 10 magic items are referred to as the Magic 7. Even his minions do not understand this logic. He basically just tells them, like, yeah, don't worry about it, it's just a words. It's like, no, this is important, sir. Like, to me especially, because I am the kind of person who gets into the lore of things. When things don't make sense, I question them. It's one of the reasons why this podcast is here. Because I can't just look away from these kind of things, Moving on. Anyways, after that, which... Why are there so many brief cuts like that? We get so much more done. We just didn't keep cutting away. Regardless, Hodge and Turk now call up the Easter Bunny, and they learn about the golden egg. Same things we've already learned, it's always this mystical object. It's so powerful, don't let it into the wrong hands, yada yada yada. The same thing we've been told 3 times now. I think we get it, guys. We get it. But... so he tells them to safeguard the egg until he can come and retrieve it from them. We then, after they hang up on Hodge and Turk, we got to Bert and Cutie tuning into a news program where Bert had recorded some kind of segment for them as like a little Happy Easter segment, saying Happy Easter to the universe and whatnot. Anyways, we watched the segment for much longer than we need to, I feel. Because we get to watch the Easter segment, but we also get to watch some of the sportscaster and weather people stuff, and it's like, those characters do become important slightly later, if you can call anything in this movie important. But it still feels like it drags. Honestly, a lot of this movie feels like it drags, so just a fair warning if you decide you want to look into this movie. I advise against it, honestly. Anyways, it's during this news segment. Well, I say news segment, this is more like their gossip segment, but it is part of the news show. But during this little segment, the 2 news ladies say that 80% of the universe celebrates Easter, and the other 20% don't even know what Easter is. And maybe this is hyperbole, perhaps, maybe. But that contradicts what we heard earlier with Bert, where he said that the whole universe celebrates Easter at the same time as Earth, apparently, too. Which is even more confusing. But these guys are clearly the kings of writing, can't you tell? Anyways, after the segment, we go back to Hodge and Turk, and they're planning to go back to the Easter Bunny home planet, which is Planet Scramble, like I mentioned earlier, but they're intercepted by one of TNT's minions. They see TNT has 2 minions on his ship with him, and then he has another minion who's a clone of one of his other minions that's on the ship with him, which is confusing. But I feel like it's just their lazy way of recycling assets, so they don't have to design yet another character. Anyways, the clone minion is on their tail and shooting at them. Then we cut back again to TNT. He's talking about how the egg is apparently one of the Magic 7, which of course we knew. We kind of guessed. I'm sure. We briefly cut back to Bert, and he's told by the Guardians that mysterious vessel from earlier was indeed TNT's ship. Noda. I guess it's news to him, but it was pretty obvious to us already, so it's really not necessary for us to see that. But show don't tell until you can't show, apparently. Or tell don't show until you can't. Whatever. These people just irk me, as you can probably tell. The movie frustrates me. Okay, rambling aside. Meanwhile, Hodge and Turk are still being fired on and aren't fighting back for some reason. They take a really bad hit, and as TNT plans to board their ship, Turk suggests that they ask the egg for help, which they do. And then there's a white flash and they're transported away. I'm not kidding. I don't know how they knew that would work, or why they thought that would work, but it did. They both basically said, "Please, egg, help us get away from these people," or something to that effect. Anyways, we transition to Earth, where a dog, a cat, and a bird are watching TV in their apartment or their condo. They do mention it's a condo later. Doesn't matter. Hodge and Turk beam into the room like it's freaking Star Trek, you know? And they're all like, oh my god. TV's in 3D because they're watching like a pets program, which is weird because they are pets unless there are other animals that are kept as pets on this planet. And that just brings into question a lot of logistical issues there, because if there are animals who are also pets, what separates the animals from the ones that are not animals? Let's just not worry about that, I suppose. The lore implications are not something we want to get to on fucking Hodge Saves Easter, because let's face it, it's not worth it. It's not worth the struggle. Anyways, we cut again to the Space Guardians from earlier. These ones are ones that we met earlier, but we didn't know they're Space Guardians. It was the Weatherman and the Swordcaster that I mentioned earlier I told you they'd be important later. This is why. They're undercover agents for the Space Guardians. They ask their ship AI to go ahead and track TNT's ship for them so that they can intercept him in some way. Then we cut again back to TNT's ship, and he's all surprised because they just appeared out of nowhere. Hodge and Turk did. And he gets a phone call from the freaking bird that's on Earth somehow. How did he get his number? Who knows? Not me. Anyways, gets a call from him, and the bird tells him where Hodge is. Like, he tells him, hey, come to my apartment or whatever and get these bitches, So after that, cut back again to the apartment where Hodge and Turk are with the cat, dog, and the bird. And almost immediately, the bird admits that he rats them out. I thought we were going to have some kind of conflict, like maybe they're going to stay in that apartment for a little bit and then try to hide out, and then they'll be like, oh no, here's the minions, they're coming to get you. Nope. We just immediately learn that he betrayed them. And they're like, well, let's get the heck out of here. So they ask the egg to beam him away, and they beams him up, Scotty. And they freaking... Immediately after they beam away, one of the minions appears in the room, beams in the room just like they did. And they're like, oh, they already left, you can probably still catch them though if you hurry, and beams away again. So... this whole scene was pointless, in other words, but it feels like. So, when they beam back in, they're back. So, Turk gets beamed into a home. Hodge is beamed elsewhere. We'll get to him in a second. Turk is beamed into a home. It turns out to be the home of the weatherman from earlier, who turned out to be an undercover agent. So Turk explains the whole shebang to him about oh, we're being chased, we have this golden egg. And then we see Hodge. He's been beamed to a beach-like area, and the Commander Ham Sanders guy is there again. But for some reason, he doesn't recognize Hodge. Hodge is trying to tell him, hey, look, it's me, Hodge. You gave me the egg earlier, we were supposed to go to Space Jacks. He tries explaining him to him, all that stuff. And he's like, who are you? What are you talking about? I don't know anything about an egg. We cut away from that. By the way, that scene, completely unnecessary. It never comes back. There's no explanation for why he doesn't recognize him. There's no reason to even talk about it, because when we cut back to Hodge the next time, he's in a completely different area. So I don't know if this was supposed to be a deleted scene, and it just didn't get deleted because they don't know what the heck they're doing over there. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Anyways, then we're back to the news ladies from earlier, the ones with the gossip show. They're talking about the fact that TNT has now declared war on the universe, the whole universe. He tells everyone his plan on the news. TNT comes on the news now because he's able to get onto their broadcast somehow. I assume they invited him, actually, it seemed like. Anyways, he's on the air now, explaining his great plan about how he wants to steal the egg back from Hodge. He tells Hodge if he does not give up the egg, he's going to set off some kind of bomb that he's made that will blow up every egg in the universe, including the golden egg, because if he can't have it, no one can, you know, that kind of trope. And I have to wonder, doesn't that kind of count as genocide, in a way? Because there's so many animals that give birth via egg. Like chickens, lizards, probably several types of aliens in this universe, I imagine. Sea creatures as well. All those eggs are just gonna blow up. How? Not clear. But all because of a freaking golden egg that this dumbass rabbit won't give up. Anyways. Hodge is now somehow at the same home that Turk was in. We don't know how he got there, but he claims he was there the whole time, it seems like. So this once again leads to that theory I had earlier about that the scene where he beamed into the commander and he was confused and stuff. I think that was supposed to be the lead scene, and I don't understand why it existed in the first place. Anyways, he's on the phone with his brother Bert. Bert tells him, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be safe there. You're at Space Guardian's home. You'll be safe. You'll be fine. I'll come get you, okay?" And he's not safe, because we immediately cut to Bert in his spaceship. TNT gives him a call and tells him, "Hey, I know where your brother is. I'm gonna go get him." And then we cut back to TNT, and he somehow beams Hodge into his ship. I don't know how. I guess maybe he can just do that now. Who needs a reason in this movie anyways, right? Okay, so now Hodge is hostage on the ship, right? So TNT's ship gets surrounded immediately by the Space Guardians, who all tell him to surrender or else, you know, and all that junk. TNT tries to, like, do a display of violence or something. And he fires at them. But he doesn't hit anything. The animation shows his ship kind of like fling around a bit and fire off some lasers. But from what I can tell, it looks like he doesn't hit a single vehicle, a single vessel. The lasers just all kind of shoot out and explode immediately, but there's no vessels even in the background, it looked like. I could be wrong. I could have just not seen them. Could also be an animation error, which this whole movie's an animation error, but you know. What are you gonna do? Anyways, he tells Hodge that if he gives up the egg, then all of this will stop. He'll stop trying to hurt people, you know. No one has to be hurt. He'll just forget about it if he gives him the egg. Hodge starts to make a speech, but he's so incompetent that it's so hard to listen to. He's like stumbling over his words for a good portion of the speech. But the basics of the speech is that he's saying that, oh, Easter is about our friends and family. It's not about, you know, the eggs and the candy and the this and the that. And it's like, that's great and all, but what does that have to do with anything? That has nothing to do with what we're doing right now. But I don't know, maybe the real Easter is the friends we made along the way. Immediately after the speech, almost immediately, he makes the speech, and then I think TNT says like, "What?" or "Huh?" or something like that, and then we just smash cut, and we're on Earth again, or some planet. And Hodge and Bert were talking about like how he apparently defeated TNT with the power of the egg, and that would have been a good thing to show instead of tell us. Honestly, if this movie did a little more showing and less telling, it might actually be something decent. But no, we get nothing. Anyways, they banter for a bit. They talk about Hodge wants to get a job, which, please nobody hire this bunny. Please. And Bert talks about how he's got to prepare for Easter. And then the credits roll. That was it. That was it. I cannot even begin to tell you how little I recommend this movie. If you can, stay away at all costs. It is immensely bad. It's only an hour and 5 minutes long, 65 minutes. But you feel every single second. I cannot fathom how they could think this was okay to release. I mean, let's face it. They make mockbusters, this company does. So maybe the quality, just isn't there to begin with. Like maybe I shouldn't be expecting anything, right? But it's just atrocious. The scenes and characters have no depth whatsoever. They feel and look like cardboard cutouts. The characters literally sit in front of the screen, their lips flap, and nothing else moves. They might move their face from side to side a little bit here or there. They might move their eyes around, but that's it. They do not walk. They do not so much as wave at you. They sit there in front of you. And every scene is like that. 2 characters in the foreground, lips flapping, stiff as could be. Nothing happens. Trust me. Do not check this movie out. Unless you just, want to make fun of a movie with somebody. That'd be the only case where I'd say, go for it. If you want to put this movie on with a friend, get drunk, riff on it, go for it. It's free on Tubi, because of course it is. So as long as you're not spending money on it, do what you want. But I highly suggest you check something else out, please. Because this movie is almost torture, honestly. So, please don't waste your time with this. I'm a little sorry I did, but at least you guys got to hear my struggle, and maybe that's entertaining to you. I hope it was. Hopefully our next movie will be better. I'll be spinning the wheel again tomorrow and checking out yet another movie from this list. I would also like to take some time right now to thank a wonderful person who I met online who was gracious enough to give me some suggestions for this list. Many of her suggestions made it onto this list, so if you're listening, DL, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Now, I hope you all enjoyed my breakdown, both mentally and with the movie. If you've made it this far, then I want to say thank you so much for listening, and if you want to hear more, look out for another episode tomorrow. If you want to reach out to contact me, I do have an email. It's broadcastfromelsewhere@gmail.com. You can email me movie suggestions or other topics or media that you may want me to cover. Until then, until next time, hope you all have a great rest of your day. This is Enigma, signing off.